Hi, I'm Ling from lingabson.com, lingabson.com. Today, I want to talk about how I run retrospective with a team. I'm going to go through the steps, one step at a time, okay? So in Agile Retrospectives, the book written by Esther Derby, you'll read a lot more about how to run a retrospectives, the why, all the different stages. So I have the different stages here, the framework. So step 1 is set the stage. Step 2 is gather data. Step 3 is generate insights. Number 4, decide what to do after you've generated insights. Number 5, close the retrospective. So I don't tend to go through all of them because I find there's just not enough time and teams don't tend to want to sit in 2 hour or longer than a 2 hour retrospective. So I usually would set an hour and a half for about a team of less than 8 people. And usually what I'll do is I'll set the stage. So I'll set the stage by making sure it's a bit of a housekeeping. So things like, okay, this for those who are new, what a retrospective is. I'll talk about no anchoring. So for example, there's a reason why we have post-its, there's markers, is to make sure people don't tend to kind of go, oh yeah, the project could have gone better if Joe did not, you know, like to talk about your idea. We don't want people to talk about it because that's what the meeting is about. We'll talk about it here. So no anchoring, it's a blameless activity. So we don't want to talk about, we don't want team members to start blaming each other. Okay, we want to come into the retrospective as well to kind of go, hey, let's be open about this and have a growth mindset. We're going to talk about problems, but this is a meeting to really talk about those problems, but not a personal attack and not whose fault it is. Okay, so I tend to go through that during set the stage. And I'll go through a little bit on sticky notes. So I'll make sure people know it's an idea per sticky note. So they don't write down 10 different things about how a project went, because I really want people to talk about each idea, have the opportunity to really express that. So sometimes I'll go through the rules, but after a while running retrospective with your team, you don't really have to do that. Another thing I like to do is to really go through that, how to actually rip a post-it off. So usually we would, okay, maybe I'll show you the right way first. The right way is this. Just pull it down. There, flat. Usually we would do it, okay, this is the wrong way. So usually we'll kind of rip it off like this, right? And there's a reason for that, because after a while this is going to curl and this is going to stay flat. And at the end of a retrospective, I would usually take a photo, then I'm going to document it, or a team member would document it. And if it's all curled or they're all going to slowly fall away, it gets really just messy. So I'll go through sometimes things like this. I tend to do this too as one activity. So I'll pick something right here, maybe a little bit like this. So there's a website called Retromatte, R-E-T-R-O-M-A-T, and then you can find all kinds of resources on how to run a retrospective. So usually I'll do something simple like keep, drop, add, or start, stop, continue, something really similar to really kind of get the conversations going. So whether that's on the whiteboard, whether that's on a giant sticky note like this, I'll have a column, keep. Obviously this is a smaller version of this, but I'll have a column that says keep, another column drop, another column add. And now I'll make sure, okay, team, we're going to talk about what are some things we want to keep doing as a team for this topic. And the topic is, how did the project we did last, how did that go? What are some things you want to keep working on? So they may say things, so okay, I'm going to give them 5 minutes. Everybody has a sticky note, has a couple pens. They're going to write down. And then I'm going to have a timer going. They're going to keep writing an idea per sticky note. And then I'm going to say, all right, is everybody good? Can we start to share? And then we're going to take turns sharing. So one person will come up and then they're going to say, all right, so I think the one thing we should keep doing for the next project is, as an example, pair programming. I'll get them. So this is the part that I make sure they're a little bit more concise. Okay, share your idea, briefly describe what that idea means, because we're going to come back later to talk, spend a little bit more time on things we want to drop, things we want to add. And then they can say, oh, you know, we're doing pair programming, it's great, we're going to want to continue to do. And then they're going to keep sharing just this column, take turns, everybody has a turn. And that's why there's no anchoring, because we don't want people to write ideas down or feel that their idea may not be as worthy to share because somebody more senior shared a different idea. So these are some key things you need to know as a facilitator. And then same thing, I'll share that, okay? If there's any questions about anything, they can talk through it. So this is an easy column to do. The next thing is I'll say, okay, now we're gonna do drop. What are some things as a team we want to drop, we want to stop doing to ensure the next project is gonna go better? And then same thing, 5 minutes to write down all the ideas. And then they can then talk about, all right, share what are some things you want to drop, things like that. Same thing for add column. What are some things you want to add? What are some things we should add more into how we work together as a team? So this column, a lot of times I'll see things like, all right, we should have a session before project start to break down our features. There's some things that I hear a lot is we should have a pre-project meeting, you know, epic breakdown, project breakdown session to really break things down so that engineers have a chance to really talk through some of these things with the product owner, product managers, things like that. So oftentimes I will see here, there's gonna be a lot of post-its here. You may not get a lot of post-its here. Your team may mature in a way where, you know what, there's a lot of keep, we're doing great. And that's all good. So here is usually where teams may disagree. Somebody may have an idea that is, oh, very far-fetched, you know, nobody else wants to do them, but share them anyway. And as a facilitator, you know, there could be multiple people that say, okay, we should add pair programming. Oh, we should add pair programming. So I make sure I group them together. And then once everybody is done sharing, I'll come and tell them, okay, we're gonna get together, come over here. We're gonna, because there's a lot, if there isn't a lot, you don't really need to do that. But if there's a lot of ideas here, what I like to do is to tell team members we're gonna prioritize, because it's really difficult to leave a retrospective with like 10 things we wanna add. It's really hard to tell, wait, okay, the next project is going better now, so what did we do that actually made the project go well? It's gonna be hard to say, right? So I tend to want to vote top 3, just top 3. So I'll say, okay, everybody has, if you're not familiar with dot voting, you can Google dot voting, but I'll say, okay, everybody has 3 votes, and you can vote for the same idea 3 times. You know, if you want to use 3 votes, you can vote for the 3 things that's important to you, and then I can say this is idea 1, idea 2, for simplicity. So they will come up, and then they will do a dot, maybe no dot. And then as a facilitator, we'll kind of, okay, so obviously there's more votes here. I'm gonna say this is the one thing we're gonna try the next project to try and do. And then I'm gonna pick the top 3. And as a team, I'll check, is there agreement or disagreement? If there's anybody who disagree, I may kind of go, okay, talk a little bit about it more, but I make sure I time box it. Okay? So this is the main activity to allow the team to really surface issues and solutions. And this is how I do them. And decide what to do is the dot voting. Okay? Lastly, if I have the time, I'll try and close the retrospective in a positive way. So my favorite is some sort of a gratitude activity. Same thing, if you go to Retromatte, there's a lot you can pick from. I have a few favorites, and an example that I love is this. So I get another giant post-it on the whiteboard. I'll put 2 columns here, and I'll put thank you and my action. Team members have 5 minutes. Same thing with a sticky note. They will write what are some things they want to thank another teammate for. and what's their personal action to really help the team do a better job the next iteration. And then again, same thing, they'll come, they will share the things they're grateful for, and then they'll share their personal action. And I find this is a good activity to really close, because we want to close the whole retrospective on a high note and not linger on what are some of the things we didn't do well in. Make sense? So as a facilitator, usually if I have either a volunteer or me as a manager, I will take photos of this and then I will document it, and then I'll make sure the teams know the top 3 things we're taking away from this meeting to work on. And then the next retrospective, we'll follow up. Hey, how did we do with these 3 actions? Did they help? Did they not help? And why? All right, I hope all this is helping you gain a better insight in terms of how I would run a retrospective. So please comment, email me with questions if anything I've skipped or if I've gone on too fast. I hope this is helpful. Share this with anyone who might want to know a little bit on how I would run a retrospective or an easy way to run a retrospective. And you can find me at lingabson.com. Bye now.